So, if you're anything like me, you are sick to death of attending terribly produced events where at the end of it, you're thinking, why did I waste my time? Or even worse, if you paid for it, why did I waste my money? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you paid anyway, because you either paid with your time or you paid with your attention, and often you paid with both. And what I want to do today is unlock the three things that we need to get in order to make sure that every single time we throw or organize our event or bring human beings together, we do so right. Let's talk about this. The collective noun that is human beings, audience, whether you're on a meeting or on a email chain or at a conference, as far as I'm concerned, this next statement is fundamentally true, right? Audiences are the most underutilized resource in business today. How often has your time been completely and utterly wasted because somebody didn't respect your attention? They included you in a chain of mails. You're sitting there thinking, I don't know, you read through the whole thing only to find that it wasn't relevant to you. Or you've been showing up at this conference or event that your company sent you to. You were all expecting to be excited. You wanted to be blown away. And at the end of it, you're just like, I didn't need to be there. That's the problem. You see, to me, a conference or a presentation has only really two jobs. It's to deliver a message to achieve a result. And in fact, the deliver a message isn't its job. The achieve a result is the job. Don't take my word for it. Seth Godin had this to say. He believes that the purpose of a presentation is to change minds. That's the only reason I can think of to spend the time and the resources. And he is absolutely right, because you are spending the time and the mental resources to be there, often the cash resources as well. So I want to share with you today the three things that we need to get organized and get into symphony if we ever want to throw an event where people are going to leave activated. So what's the first one? Well, the first one, relevant content. Yeah, I didn't know in sound effects. I realize now that the guys are probably supposed to add in a sound effect later, but I kind of like mine. Relevant content. There is a lot of content out there. One might say a plethora of content. What is it? A plethora of amigos? I don't know if I remember that right. There is a lot of content out there, guys, and you've got so much to choose from. And it's not to say that some content is good and some content is bad. It's to say that there's some content that's more relevant to certain discussions than other ones, to certain audiences. Now, as you're here in this, I think that book is quite relevant. I think that one down there is quite relevant. And then this one here that I wrote, Boredom Slayer, I think that one is the most relevant. I may be biased, but anyway, I believe that we've got to make sure that we get our content dialed in. We got to get it super relevant to our audience. One of the big mistakes I see when people are asked to speak at a conference, they realize, hey, I'm asked to speak at a conference on digital marketing. So they show up and they just speak generally about digital marketing. But that's not your job. Your job is to speak specifically about the brief that you were given and the reason you are there. Not just to say, well, I started off with that bit and then I wanted to get general because I really have this cool case study of this one brand and this cool thing and I just want to show it. No, your job is to answer the question that you were given, to scratch the itch that they have at this point. Because remember, somebody else here or here or here or here may have already covered those bits or may be covering it. So you've got to make sure that you only stay in your lane and present the most relevant content. This is critically important. If the content isn't relevant to your audience, well, what? Right. So the next thing we have to create is functional technology. We got to make sure the tech is functional. Whether you're in a regular space, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Whatever you're doing, you've got to make sure that the tech works, the lighting, the sound, the AV, all of this stuff has to come together. This could be as easy as if you're on your desk today, like standing presenting, hey, ladies and gentlemen, got my 2-point lighting, got my machine, got my camera, everything's there. Or even as now is all the rage, because with everyone thinks that the way today to make a good online event, high quality online event, is to get everybody into a studio. And then to have these two people stand here in a studio and look like these people here, like they're in the newsroom. Because apparently 2 people looking at each other like that is more engaging for an audience. Spoiler alert, it's not. Okay, this is more engaging. There's a reason people on YouTube don't stand way back there. It's because this is a front row seat. I said this before, and I'll continue saying it. You're right. This whole Zoom thing that everyone's been doing every single day, it's a feature and not a bug. Now, The last thing that you have to get right, the last of the three circles, and this is the one that's always left to chance. It's like, well, we're going to make sure we're going to write a good brief of the content, make sure we structure it. And again, even that one is probably part two. The second thing you worry about, part number one, we're going to make sure the tech is impressive and obviously the band and the drinks afterwards. But the thing we're not really that worried about is how good you are when you arrive. You see, the thing that people don't care about is effective presenters. And as a guy who I think, I'm a somewhat can hold my own as a presenter, get behind the stage, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. Well, you've been a wonderful audience, try the veal. Actually, don't try the veal. I'm a vegan, right? But you can stand there and you can deliver all these content and messages and things like this and deliver a really good sound message across to your audience. And if you're an effective presenter, it's a great thing. However, it's not enough. What is enough is when you can get these three things together. When you can get an effective presenter, when you can get functional technology, and when you can create relevant content. Here's why this is so important. Let's say we only get 2 out of the 3. Well, which one? Doesn't matter. Which ball you drop, it doesn't matter. It still will result in an unactivated audience. Let me demonstrate. And, correct me if you think I'm wrong. If you get an effective presenter in a room, so somebody really charismatic, and they're delivering really, really well, and the technology all works, but the content isn't relevant to the audience, they leave confused, right? They're like, I don't understand. Why am I here? Why are you telling me this? Have you ever been in a presentation and you find yourself saying, this is great, it's kind of cool but useless. Why are you telling me? That's problem number one. Now, let's say, okay, we say, okay, cool. We it's not those two. Let's have a look at another two. So let's say we have an effective presenter and then we have relevant content. So you got a great presenter and the content is really relevant, but the tech fails, right? It doesn't work and they keep on trying. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to share my screen here. This is so frustrating. Can you hear my audio? I'm just going to try and speaking to you. Right? All of these problems, these are not great. What happens then? Well, your audience gets frustrated. If you have a frustrated audience, it's just they're eventually going to dial out. In online events, this is a thing that will lose your audience very, very fast. And then, of course, is the last one. Let's say we have very relevant content and we have really, really great technology and the content is on point. The brief was brilliant. The tech is fantastic, but the speaker is boring. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I would just like to thank you all very much for being here today. Now, I want to talk to you about something very near and dear to my heart. It's very important to me, being that I'm into board games. Here is a card that I think you might like from one of my favorite games called Fantasy Realms. What? Right? You cannot. If you do not have an effective presenter, it doesn't matter how relevant your content is and how functional the technology is, they'll fail. And by the way, I want you to be very clear what I said here. An effective presenter. I didn't say a great presenter. I've seen people who are not traditionally good at presenting. They're not this charismatic, larger than life. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Blah, 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 blah. They're just softly, slowly speaking you through their content, taking you through what needs to be known. And in fact, they might even be speaking with a soft voice, getting you to lean into their content. But because it's so well structured, you really, really do want to lean in and get to the end. Now, these three things, you get these things, you get these two right, you don't get the speaker, your audience is bored, right? They just do not want to be there. And that is a problem for me. So what we have to do is get the three of them all together. Effective presenters, relevant content, and functional technology. You get this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful orchestra playing. And then what you have is an audience that is well and truly activated. And that's what we need them to be. Because you see, an activated audience, that's something that's very, very beautiful. They don't just sit there and take notes. They take actions. This is something I say to audiences all the time. I don't want you to leave taking notes. I want you to write down actions. I'll say it again. Don't take notes, take actions, right? I want an audience that will leave activated, and so should you. And that is why you should be worrying about these three things. If you organize a conference or event, you put three big checklists and you work out, are my speakers of a standard that I can expect, I am happy with, that will keep an audience going? Is my technology going to work? And is what these people are saying using this technology extremely relevant to the dragon we are trying to slay at our event? If the answer to any single one of these questions is no, your event is not good enough, go home and try harder. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me today. I really, really hope you had some value with this, and I hope it's given you something to think about. If you know somebody in eventing, if you know somebody who organizes conferences, please, for goodness sake, share this video with them. If you enjoyed it, hit like. If you really enjoyed it, hit subscribe, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next one. Until then, go out there and lead loud.